who's the health secretary that looks like Ronnie James Dio?
Oh, you can find her. I want to avoid necessarily the sensitivity but she really looks like Ronnie James Dio to me. Yeah. And all I keep thinking is Holy Diver every time. But besides the point, she snuck her grandma out of the nursing home right before they would put COVID in.
Right.
Her mom would give up her rights to be in the nursing home. Suddenly now, because of her own presence of mind, to go get a hotel room. You know, maybe grandma gets out a lot. I don't know, but it just seems surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I'm lost here. I have no idea what any of this is. You're talking
about juggling events.
No. I get that, but I haven't really heard anything of this whole Gretchen thing.
Oh yeah, it's kind of true because they can't stop the lawsuit. It started, so it's like and that's the thing is they're looking in. Okay, and then remember Gavin Newsom's got his little recount coming. That's going to happen soon. So all the people that had the biggest death counts during the pandemic are all in trouble for their nursing home response. You know, and
that's true.
Oh yeah. You know, but the thing is it becomes more sinister once you start to find the email part of it, and now it's like a planned effort. It's like some Dr. Doom type shit.
Right.
It's like Mini-Me. Did Mini-Me grow up to be Fauci? You know, did he wind up growing up to be a tall version? And you go, it's like, man, I don't know, dude. There's something about it, you know. And then I hear these crazy rumors that I don't. Again, and this is coming from me, crazy rumor, right?
Right.
So,
hang on a second. Bring us in, Terry. Bring us in, Terry. Go,
Ladies
quick.
and gentlemen,
Self-awareness.
Quickly, wedge your foot in the door. We'll never get him to stop. Hang on.
With your hosts, Dick Young and Terry Shepard.
That's us.
Tonight's guest, the incomparable.
Incomparable, this guy.
Gerry Gobel.
Yay.
Geraldo Gobel.
Is it Geraldo Gobel?
Gobel.
Yes. Yes. It's got to be more. I'd be coming in like the UPS man.
Dude.
I'm like the Corinthian or whatever.
Stuff all over the place here. What's going on, guys? It is.
I self-identify as a handsome guy. So, you know.
Dude, I'm digging the clean-shaven face.
Yeah, you look good.
I just did that actually.
And
then I get the lighting thing on here. It's probably a filter. I'm probably going to turn into a pony or two on here. So. I don't know how technology works.
Are you a brony now?
No. I haven't thought about getting a gun at all.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering.
So, sorry, man. Not since FedEx.
So, welcome to Fist Deep, everyone. Holy smokes, do we got a show for you today. We have truly the incomparable Gerry Gobel. What's going on, man?
Well, I'm banned again.
Okay, why this time?
Oh no!
Yeah, I bounced one Fauci email, boy, and they put the whooping on me.
Yeah.
It's like 11 days. They still got a 90-day ban on live streams. They got mad at me for I was live streaming TV. They wouldn't put on television.
Right.
So I'm live streaming it because I know they couldn't touch it.
Okay.
And they hate. And the thing is, as long as you're covert, you can get away with it for a while.
Right.
And then they were like 90 days. I'm like 90 days for that.
Is this on
I was like,
Facebook?
they weren't very happy with me.
But get away with what? I don't understand.
Well, okay, so when you start talking conspiracy theories, it's the media narrative. Like whenever you have anything that goes contrary to the point that they're trying to achieve, then they put an opposite effect on it. You look at all the headlines happening right now, what we're learning about, all the things that are wrong with the coronavirus.
Right.
This was stuff that was known in the last year.
Right.
My Facebook, I'll tell you what, you want something cool to look at, go to my Facebook page from exactly a year ago today.
Uh-huh.
Just look at my posts. I was sharing the stuff and I was catching hell for last year.
Right.
It's exactly the same stuff they're saying now. And see, that's the effect. That's why I was like, the Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. Because people got to the point that they heard his name, they frothed.
Right.
Right? It's vengeance. They're burning down black neighborhoods to save black people from the bad guy.
Right.
It makes no sense. Why are you burning shit? If you got a problem, so the whole thing gets blown out of proportion for effect. But I think on a level, when you look at who made Twitter and who made Facebook, they're both CIA gigs, right?
Wait, what?
Facebook used to be something called LifeLog.
Okay.
It was development, and as soon as it went online, as far as like for sale, and they'd taken MySpace guy out back and shot him, or whatever happened to him.
Right.
Suddenly Facebook was
I just checked
there.
my MySpace
Right?
the other day.
MySpace
Right.
is on the show tonight. This is such a weird coincidence.
Where are they now? Where's that by?
Let's do this real quick before we continue. Let's do this. Jerry holds some great beliefs. Jerry holds the beliefs of a lot of people that don't always get to express those beliefs. He backs Trump. He supports that cause. He gets into the conspiracy of a lot of that. And quite honestly, the things that used to be called conspiracies are now being sort of called realities. And they're starting to pop up more and more, which is starting to back up certain things. So that's the background on Jerry as far as what we're talking about. And man, I'm excited to. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm not a Trump supporter via being a Republican. He used to be a very diehard Democrat.
Right.
I was a Bernie guy, and I swear if I had not ran into WikiLeaks, I would have been one of those looting assholes out on the streets.
So why don't
because
you?
it was social justice for change,
Right.
And the whole idea is they condition you to think if you cannot make it, you can't atone for the past.
Mhm.
It's not possible. So
Right.
the idea is that the entire thing is shot.
Right.
So you just got to wreck it all, just destroy it all, and that's the mindset. So when I started seeing the WikiLeaks list of people not to follow,
Right.
reporter list, then I had a clue on it. And then once I started seeing the Q post, I was not instantly a Trump guy.
Right.
I was not at all. No. I had to be sold. First off, I was more of a Q guy who turned Trump supporter than a Trump supporter who became a Q guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've been following the post since the beginning because it's just what you would read on the net while you were scouring for news.
Mm-hmm.
So I followed it the whole way. It's a giant puzzle. The thing about Q is it's a giant puzzle piece booklet. And there's so many crazy things that are just sort of coincidental when you start looking at it.
Right.
And they go, well, if you know what the storyline and the narrative is, everybody that was freaked out by how they, if the election was supposedly over and Trump had lost, then Q is incorrect.
Right.
Right? No, because Q never said anything about it getting back in office. He said pain is coming.
Right.
And I couldn't have thought it's such a beautiful, assuming the plan is correct, I feel like every indication is there's something weird going on because there's an awful lot of shit popping to the surface at the same time.
Right.
The news story cycles of things going around and around and around and around.
Right.
And it all starts to bubble up, and then you start to notice there's some really shady stuff going on. And it's always
I was a never Trumper, and I kind of still am. I think it just had everything to do with the episode where he fired Meatloaf. Like I'll never forgive that guy.
That's funny.
Meatloaf
I never watched his TV show. I really didn't know who he was other than Bloom County, because Bloom County was always taking shots at him.
Oh, Bloom.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Bloom County used to tear him up.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny. So that was the only experience I had with him. But then you start watching the Q posts and what was signed, and then really, I followed it pretty microscopically, just as far as like day-to-day activities. This is like if you want your news, go to the CIA homepage, go to the FBI, go to the Marines. There's every branch of the government's got a press release area. So go there. They'll tell you firsthand what they're planning and what's gonna go on. So when you start looking at the minutia, the actual things that happen,
Right.
and then you see how it's reported, you go, wait a minute, somebody's kind of skirting the issues on some things here, and it happens a lot. And then you go, what the media would lie to us.
So wait, so what are you getting? You make my ears perk because of the Marine thing. What do you? Let's just say that you go to the Marine website and they've got a press release. What might that press release be, and then how might it relate over to the media, and then where does the deceit start?
Okay, so, okay, the easiest way to spot something that's deceptive is to find out who reported it first.
Okay.
So if a report comes, because if you know the CNN is basically the CIA, you know they're pushing an agenda.
Okay.
If the story comes from the home office reported there first and it's not coming from a local area, then that event isn't probably real.
Okay.
It's probably agenda, because the local news stations, all your local TV town people, they got guys running around filming shit. And even on a bad day, a monkey gets a banana once in a while.
Sure.
So, you know what I mean? So they find the story. Then there's witnesses and reports of what's there. How many witnesses were there? Like, you look at the shooting that happened in El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexican white supremacist kid. So they had, I got 2 different clips from 2 different people. One said 3 people were helping him, and another one said that there was 2.
Okay.
And those were early witness reports. Those clips disappeared. And
Right.
that bunch of stuff that I gave you, it's in those videos. That's the thing. So you go and you grab those pieces early on the local event level, and then you know everything about it. It's interesting when you start following some of the side names that pop up in some of these stories.
But like an event like that with the El Paso thing, I mean, I looked at it like it was just a crazy kid that had a gun and he shot up Walmart.
Right.
Right.
And that if there might be stories that came out of that because it was a chaotic time and people didn't know. I mean, they don't know what the hell's going on, and so their interpretation of what they saw might just be skewed because of being in a traumatic event. Like, I saw this and there were these people helping him. Those
Right.
kids all there what they perceived to be happening at the time, it just wasn't accurate, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not disputing that necessarily, but I think it's odd that sometimes it's, see, in the El Paso thing, there was also a reference from the sheriff or the officer that was in charge that gave us the discussion about what happened. He initially said multiple shooters. That was the early report, and that's what they got on it. But all those video clips just sort of disappeared from the world. I mean, they're just gone.
Right.
So the thing is it's the fixing of the news. That's another thing that's problematic.
Could
So
it-
now that you're finding out, and it's going to be kind of easy barrel shooting stuff. Like, go to my Facebook page from a year ago. Look at those headlines. Look at what I post. It's all valid today. Everything
Right.
that happened last year, what we're learning now, is exactly what we were saying then.
Okay.
They were lumping body counts together. The flu was being referenced over, and it's all coming out about these emails. And and I don't know how much trouble you get in for even just discussing those things right now. But I got nuked the first time I dropped. It was a cutout. I did a screen capture of it, so they technically shouldn't have even been able to read it. Right?
Of a Fauci email?
Yeah.
So wait, so you screen, so you
There was also one of the emails that had a redaction on it.
Okay.
And interesting note is every redaction has a reason attached to why it's redacted. They have to justify it.
Okay.
Right? So this particular one of them, it was involved in an ongoing criminal investigation,
Okay.
which would be Durham. If Durham's running around up there, we don't know what's going on with that dude. That's the one story that hasn't rotated at the top, is what's John Durham doing, right? Is there something going on? Because there's also other weird things.
And who's John Durham?
John Durham is the guy who was going to be doing he can fire him, and he's the prosecutor, Punisher guy. He's the one, and they were thinking it's the guy. But nothing is as it seems, when you start looking at what goes on. It's a conspiracy theory thing. Run it like you would in a movie like Wag the Dog.
Okay.
Every event, once you realize an event is kind of phony, then just pretend, what would I be wagging the dog from? And reverse engineer it. And then you can kind of start to see what are the connections of what's going on here. Was there an event happening at the same time that they needed to talk about?
Right.
That's a lot too.
So real quick, so if I get a press release off the Marine Corps website, is that to be taken as accurate, or is that where it starts?
That would be accurate.
Okay.
Okay, so press releases are the official statements of every given department. So what they're writing is what they're writing.
Right.
And there's a lot of the Fauci stuff with the NIH NIAID stuff where he was talking about hydrochloroquine that he said it was good in the past, and then he redacted. I'll tell you what, Dan Bongino's got an episode this last week. I know he's kind of much, I think, but I'll tell you what, he's got some great reporting. The stuff, the connections he ties between people linking the Wuhan lab directly to Fauci and to this being a cover-up, and that the Chinese government is behind it. And so there was also the story about why the Chinese said they had to get ready for nuclear war with the U.S. Why did they?
I don't think they said nuclear war, did they?
They know what they done.
What was it?
So way back when this first started happening in November, I mentioned before that November of 2019, I watched CNBC quite a bit, and I heard that, I saw all the airlines were pulling out. And then I saw that a couple of Chinese professors at Harvard were arrested.
That's Libra.
Right? So at the time, I thought, holy shit, are we going to war with China? Like, is this a war that we don't know about, that, is being fought covertly, just a biological type? That's what I thought.
The Chinese have been stealing a lot of biotechnology. There's actually a lab in just inside of Canada's border, and there's been a couple of different occasions where Chinese spies have been caught coming down across the Canadian border through the U.S. to go out, and it's been a couple of different occasions where it was Ebola. There was also a guy involved. If you go back a year ago into my Facebook feed, I swear to God, you'll start finding all this stuff. So this doctor from Quebec, he's a AIDS specialist. He was the guy who went over to Africa and found the first AIDS-resistant prostitutes, which I thought was a strange thing to be well known for. But he kept going that vacation. I'm not drawing a conclusion.
Right.
It's science.
Science.
Honey,
I'm going to visit these prostitutes in Africa for research.
Real quick.
Right. And AIDS resistant. That was the highlight of it. Anyway, but there's a whole thing with biological stuff being smuggled back and forth, because China's basically gotten away with trademark infringement on everything.
Right.
I mean, as far as like stealing ideas.
Well,
they went into business with people.
But so does Amazon.
Yep.
But so does Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
They all do that.
When you start looking at Bezos, now where's Bezos' connection? Bezos is a guy who owns a big old newspaper called the Washington Post, Mockingbird Central, dude. If you want to spot a lie, just assume it's coming from the Washington Post.
Right.
It's because it's the other end. Again, talk about CIA releases.
Not the crossword puzzle, though.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't get it.
So you're saying that if it comes from the Washington Post,
that's an outlet,
which is arguably the most respected newspaper in the country.
It had been bought out before, but you start looking at its narratives and what it's saying from year to year, especially now. Right. Because remember, hydrochloroquine would kill you. You would die. Matter of fact, there was a guy in Fox who was going off on it, that weirdo dude, Cavuto. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and one of John Kerry's boys runs that place. So it's like, there's no media outlet that isn't like owned by a corporation that isn't really got players in action. If the whole objective of the media organization is to give cover fire for things that the government is doing that you're not supposed to know about.
Right.
And they do it all the time.
Which, to be fair, it feels like that a lot of the time, and it plays out that way a lot of the time anymore. That the greater good of getting rid of someone or keeping someone or steering something in a direction is where everybody just kind of directs their focus and tries to herd the sheep through that corridor and make things nice and neat for them. But but what happens is it happens both ways. They're both the same herders, and we're all heading to the same processing mill in the middle.
Right.
That's the thing. That's the thing that people can't wrap their heads around.
Right. Between that and social media reinforces their message because it approves certain things. Your fact checkers prove that this is all bullshit.
Right.
Pretty much anything that the fact checker won't put a fact check on, they're bullshitting about.
Right.
I mean, it's as a rule. They're not, because they don't waste their time on stuff. They don't have time because everything is coming out so fast. They can cover it up fast. Fauci was getting protested. They had people following him around screaming, "Fire Fauci." He was doing something. It was like a publicity stunt, which tells me, see, that was another thing. You go back to the Q stuff, they're talking about that. Like, these guys are going to be able to walk down the streets. And you start thinking, yeah, this is kind of where we're going to that phase. So the thing is, okay, so we all get stuck into the idea of if you've got the villain, right, that you're going to struggle against.
Right.
And the guy that is the villain knows he's supposed to be the villain. So he does the wrestling thing.
Right.
So as he gets you worked up and worked up and worked up, everything is his fault. You get people saying it's his fault for whatever. Just saying that is probably enough to get outlawed.
Right.
Just because it's like it's a non. I'm very sympathetic for it because to me it's the greatest role playing game he did. His Facebook posts would link into things that happened in 2 postings, and the timing was so tight. 1 minute apart,
dude.
And you just go, there's things and connections that happen, but they had to be able to set this. If this is the sting, and this is the sting at the election, those guys, they fucked up, dude. They fucked up.
So real quick, I want to move over to hot topics real quick because we got to cover hot topics. But when we come back from that, can we talk Q?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's all tied in.
Dude, that'd be awesome. I would love to explain more about what that means.
Do we have to go sell collagen or something, or we switch topic?
What's that?
I get more collagen. I know more about collagen than anything now that I started watching X22. And then I'm like, well, hi, welcome.
All right. Here's hot topics. Oh, man. Let me get you guys here.
This music gets me every time.
Right? This is so hype. Dude, I can't believe that you composed this. Sometimes. Now, Gerry, being in Indiana, of course, smokes cigars.
Yes.
So, hot topics, news for the week. We're going to cover them real fast because we're going to come back and play around in Q-Land for a little bit. Number 1.
Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight to a draw. So I don't know. I think this is pretty, you got to be a genius marketer,
right,
to be a boxer who's, he's arguably one of the greatest boxers ever, Floyd Mayweather.
Absolutely.
But he can't fight like a real fight anymore. He's retired. He's,
Sure.
He's aged out. And then you have a young kid who is not a professional boxer. He's made a living just doing bullshit on YouTube.
Right.
And he figured out a way to get this guy to take him in the ring, carry him for 8 rounds.
And make millions.
Without killing him. Yeah, and so then Mayweather left the door open to be able to do this again and again and again,
right,
with other people who are just celebrities for whatever reason.
This is Mocking Turd at its finest.
Yes, it is.
This is Mocking Turd. I've been telling you about this for a while.
Yeah,
he's building up to a big fight with PewDiePie.
I would love to. I want to fight somebody. I'd do it for, I don't know, a couple $100.
Yeah. Dude.
Didn't Floyd make $100 million?
Yeah.
Oh, they're making ridiculous money for this.
50 million. I'm sure Floyd Mayweather had.
It was Showtime pay-per-view, guys. Showtime pay-per-view.
Smart man.
All right. Number 2. Biden shoots for 70% vaccinated adults by July 4th. So I've got a problem with this. And my problem is that now, to be fair, polls can't be trusted, but polling shows that 34% of Americans say that we're not doing it. So if that's the case, and I can do basic math, you're never going to get to 70%. Does anybody else think that's fair?
Oh yeah, we're not going to get to.
Jerry?
Do it.
Not a chance.
No way in hell,
Not a
right?
chance. They'll lie about those numbers too. There's no way. I don't think people are getting. There's like a whole division of Marines that didn't want to take the shot. They're gonna have. You
Right.
know. So.
Well, I can tell
I
you
don't
this.
know.
I took the
There's
shot.
a cure for it in the emails.
I took the shot,
Oh.
and I took the booster, and all that's happened is my 5Gs got better. So
Yeah, my
whatever that
internet-
means.
My
You know,
internet's been a
maybe
lot-
collecting refrigerator magnets is in your future. You could get like a shot for every magnet.
Now I've seen the people like say after they get the shot, they supposedly had a magnet like stuck to them. I
Right?
tried that and it didn't work. I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I didn't get the right shot. I got the Pfizer. The only thing that
Was
happened
that
to me
the
was
2-shot?
yeah, I got the 2-shot. I mean,
Yeah.
I had an erection for like 6 hours, but that was about it.
They needed to make sure you were real excited about it.
He was pumped.
They
Number-
gave me a box of Girl Scout cookies. That was cool.
Number 3.
So while you had
Wait,
hunger, they made an association to the Girl Scouts for you. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think-
AOL and MySpace are still things. I know we were talking about MySpace earlier. I logged into my MySpace and it's still there. Like,
Holy
Really?
crap.
yeah, it's
I didn't
great.
even
Like,
imagine what my password could possibly be if it still exists.
yeah, I mean, my
Oh.
password's the same for everything. So if anybody's listening, if you get one, you get them all.
I think it's like your credit report. Like if you let something alone for 7 years, it falls off. But if you bring it up, it pops back up to the top. I'm afraid to open my MySpace. I'm afraid I might just get canceled. That was a weird time for me.
Right?
Yeah, that was a dark time in my life.
It's still out there. Tom's still my only friend, but
Oh, that guy.
That poor guy.
Ugh.
He's like living in a yurt out there somewhere.
Dude,
yeah, he is.
so cicadas are shellfish.
What?
They are
You eat 'em?
related to shellfish. Well, people do eat them, actually. They eat them. That's why we've got this fine cicada cuisine here. This
They
17-year...
wanted you to quit eating meat.
What's that?
They wanted you to quit eating meat, so now they're going to suggest that you eat bugs.
Well, actually, they're telling you not to eat it if you're allergic to shellfish.
Yeah,
Because...
if you're allergic to shellfish, it means people are going to eat it.
Shit.
Hilarious.
You just
Is
would
that
be...
from is that a sting?
No, it's a cicada. It's a shellfish
Do
allergy.
cicadas have mandibles? I've never really looked up. I just freak out too often when they get close. So I don't really get a good look at their face. They have fangs or anything.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
I live in a
They're
neighborhood.
like sheep. They're like
20
very
years old,
placid
no
animals.
trees.
That,
No, we don't have any.
okay.
I just can't imagine. Well, so I'm going to be honest. In the Marines, when I was in Thailand, they had like cricket heads or roach heads or something, and it was like peanuts. They were in a bowl, and you just kind of munch on them, and they were crunchy, and we were drunk, and we didn't care. We were on deployment, right? So we were crunching these cricket or roach heads or whatever the hell they were, and you could get all these different dried out bugs and stuff. It was disgusting. It was absolutely gross. I ate a hog's burnt eyeball. My trips overseas were really bizarre. I'd get canceled for that shit, absolutely, no doubt about that. I get screwed up over those. So shout out to the jarheads out there. Finally, this poor guy.
Bobby the chimp dies at 63. He was the oldest chimp in the United States, and he was at the San Francisco Zoo.
Really?
He was a cool-looking old man,
Yeah,
Oh,
his beard could have been nice.
right? Said he just hadn't been feeling well lately, and I think they only normally live to like 55 or so.
Oh, wow.
So he lived, that's in captivity. In the wild, they only live to be like in their 30s because they live a little bit rougher life,
sure.
like a house cat versus an indoor cat.
Right.
I think he was.
What's up?
I think he was. Was he
Because-
shutting? Did he feel like, was that last 20 years like? I mean, how does the animal feel? I want to start a council protest for this dead.
Right? He's like,
So-
kill me now.
It's already dead, sure, but was he happy?
But was
Right.
he happy?
Didn't know. He didn't know if he was happy. He got the extra 20 years, and then he was just sort of like, it's already a life sentence. And now they're like, you get to do 20 more. You sons of bitches.
It's not our
It's like,
fault
feed
that
me
you
this-
lived longer.
These damn vitamins. I want to die. I want to die.
If I'm stuck in this cage with people looking at me, I'm at least gonna jerk off while they step by my exhibit.
Right. Get this goddamn salad and fish away from me. Somebody throw me a
Right,
hamburger. Get me out of this place.
He certainly got my COVID beard there. So that's exactly the look when you start to lose it. You're like, my internet connection's down. And then he's like, I wish I was.
Well, guys, that's Hot Topics.
Hot topics.
It's so good.
That's all the news you're not gonna get on the Washington Post.
What's that now?
But yeah, watch those guys. They're shifty, man. They'll run 2 different headlines for the same thing.
You're going to have to show us some of that stuff. I mean,
Did you see the Ocasio-Cortez story? Where her grandma was like in Puerto Rico and her abuela. I don't want to gender assume Spanish. I don't know how to speak it anymore. I couldn't speak it before, but now I can at all. I don't know whether it's...
I think it's
Anyway.
Abuela.
So she's got a picture of this place where her grandma supposedly lives, where water's breaking through the roof, and it's just a real shithole. And of course, she's like, well, Trump didn't send me there. I mean, obviously missing the scandal where it turned out that the governor and all the people that were there were warehouses full of stuff. They were stealing it. There was an embezzlement thing. So it had nothing to do with that. But what was crazy was this guy trolled him by starting a GoFundMe account for AOC's grandma. So as Republicans decided they were going to kick in money for AOC's grandma because of the dire circumstances. And they were donating for like $499 as a Tesla monthly payment or something, because apparently she's got a Tesla or something. I guess owning a car makes you rich. I don't know. But so they troll her on that. So she got like $140,000
cool.
rounded up for grandma. So now there's a question of whether she takes it.
Gives it to grandma.
Like, it's a great troll. There's a pretty good chance she won't take the money out of principal, which would be awful for her grandma.
Right.
Yeah.
And where will that story be?
Well,
I kind of like AOC. I mean, I don't know. I don't always agree with her on all her political stances, but I kind of like the fact that she was able to go from waiting tables to working in Congress.
absolutely.
I think that's cool. Yeah.
And you see those on both sides, and some of them do well, and some of them are boners, and that's just how the Congress works. That's why it works so well, because
I want to take care of your grandma.
everybody everybody puts in who the hell they want, and then they Thunderdome it out.
Right?
Easy peasy. All right, so Q. What the hell? I mean, I understand, but I don't. Everything got weird. They stopped.
Yeah.
The post stopped, I guess, maybe. Or maybe they got deplatformed.
They said there was another guy that started some B or something like that. It was a side letter, because that was so, I don't know. There was some guy, and so it was like a hoax, like there was more postings. I don't think there's going to be more postings.
The father-son. Do you think it was the father and son that ran the 8chan or whatever?
Not at all.
Because that whole documentary was pretty interesting to watch.
Well,
the guy that put it together, I kind of think maybe he's the guy. Like, I don't know. The guy that was narrating and put the documentary together.
right.
So.
Well, it's a push to make it look like it's crazy time, but it's really crazy that this thing about these postings got a TV series. I mean, you got a show. They made a movie for it, but it's about debunking it. So there's another guy named Andrew Seabart who claims he was the guy. There's going to be a lot of people claiming it.
Sure.
But the one thing is about the basic function of the rules. The postings are the postings, and you'll never receive a message from them outside of the posting.
Right.
Because it's a puzzle.
See, that's what I don't get. And that's one thing I didn't get about, one of the many things I didn't get about Q was, why not just fucking spell it out? Like, I don't want to, if this is legit and you can prove it, why do I have to go jump through all these hoops and follow the riddle of the Sphinx
It's not. It's not about that. It's about. Okay. So the idea is that
Did you
people
say the riddle of
are
the Sphinx?
asleep, right? What's that?
Did he say the riddle of the Sphinx?
Yeah, no, that's a really good way of phrasing it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question. It's a good question, but that depends on what you know. I guess the situation is this: things were said about events that were supposed to happen. So then you follow those events, and things sort of happen. And now there's a certain amount of your wish fulfillment of what you think it should be to fit a media narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so many people got it wrong at the end during the inauguration. That was a fucking barn burner twist ending, and we're only halfway through, dude. So the whole idea is you have to become aware of it on your own, right?
Right.
So imagine you hate this orange guy so bad for 4 years, and you hate him, and your whole life exists around it now because you're defined by it. You don't have a red hat to wear, but you have a hat you're wearing. You know what I mean?
But
One day the hat goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist anymore. Now you got to look around for something to get that validation.
Right.
So now you start looking at your peers. That's why the cancel culture, they're eating themselves. It's crazy. Chrissy Teigen's cancellation was the first. That was really the starting bell, I think, for what's going to happen to a lot of Hollywood. Because I remember 2013. I remember what people were posting back then. I didn't care then. I didn't record any of it. You know, It wasn't like I was now. Now I'm like, I'm waiting for Tom Hanks's body to float up somewhere. Where's he at?
So how does
great movies, whatever. But
so Q starts with some postings a long time ago, and they ramp up into the election, and then they carry on through the administration. How did all of that work out?
And this is where things have to change, right? Okay, so in the process of this changeover, what's happening now with your election account. So everybody wants to say that all the election fraud stuff was totally discounted, but it wasn't. It never had standing, and the evidence was never presented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's so to say that it's a debunked thing. That's another buzzword too. Be careful who uses the phrase debunked around, because tell them to give me some fucking source material. It's debunked, and I guess you'll find out a lot of times they debunk themselves. They make the story debunked, but I got fucking source material. That's why I get PDFs and stuff and government documents, because I got the gospel.
Right.
I got a foothold. I might be hanging on a wall with no climbing poles, but I've got a few things to hang my hat on, at least to grip onto.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, where were we at? I just went mountain climbing.
Yeah, you did. We were talking about Q and how all of that kind of came to be, and what all that meant, because it not only touches Trump, it goes global. It talks about some pretty deep-rooted things. It touches on the Epstein stuff and the pedophilia ring. Not touches, I guess it's kind of premised around a lot of that. And then its ties maybe all the way back to the Vatican.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is Illuminati basics, is that the world is going to have one order. It's going to have one person.
Right.
There's a select group of people. And basically take the Georgia Guidestones at face value. Okay. Somebody wrote a monument that they're going to plan on 8 billion people are going to die.
Right.
5 million are going to be left alive. Okay, so that's the narrative.
Right.
Get the population down to 500,000. So if you start putting people in positions of power, and this is something you start noticing when you go through all these video clips and all these different government offices, is who people are that are in the government. Because it isn't just the media people are the most easily accessible because you can see them. But once you start noticing names, players, and the places, and you notice they're moving in the administration the way they do,
right?
When they get to key positions of power, that's when they're activated as agents. That's because nobody's in government who isn't playing ball for the most part, and that's what the whole Trump thing is about. He was an outsider coming in. The Q post says he's insulated 100%, so they can't get him. So the indication to me is there's a sting going on. And the sting was to get them to commit treason and record it all.
So does this go to the church?
Oh, yeah. So eventually there's a couple of Q videos going on, people put together. But if you follow the Illuminati where it all flows to, you're basically talking about three different areas of the basic Illuminati. It comes from Washington, Rome, and from London.
Okay.
So you're talking monarchy is involved, and that's ultimately all paths lead to the Vatican.
Okay.
So that's sort of like where it goes. Godfather 3, there's worse things going on.
Right.
Vatican.
They killed the Pope. You know what? That Godfather movie, I think, is underrated.
Very much so.
Everybody says it was the worst one, and I'm like, I think this is a great one. And there's a whole. I remember my ex-mother-in-law bought a book for me called The 50 Greatest Conspiracies of All Time, and one of the stories was about the Pope who was killed. And I read that as in my early 20s, and then watched The Godfather 3, and I'm like, holy shit, that's that's what they did. They
Yeah. No, that's history repeats itself.
So
Sometimes,
then, when
is that predictive programming?
So Trump would know that, right?
Well, okay. So if the story, according to the Q universe, goes, there were a bunch of generals. See, this whole thing starts back in the 60s. This was an infiltration bit.
Right.
This was something that you're talking 30-year plans, 40-year plans, whatever. But they've been infiltrating at a basic level, moving into different
But
offices.
Trump would know the Vatican was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There was a video that showed him going to all the different places around the world, and it was interesting the way he did it, who he visited. So the House of Saud was one of the three things in the Q stuff, the three power families.
Okay.
The power family works. It was the House of Saud, Rothschilds, and Soros.
Okay.
So those were the three big families. It was plus, and plus.
Right.
That was their designation in the post. So what the postings will do is basically there's certain pieces of information being left behind. There's links to take you to other places. The whole point isn't so much. It isn't so much to create a mystery, but to say, look at this.
Right.
Do you even know how your government operates?
Okay.
A lot of this is because we just don't know. I didn't start out doing this. This was a thing this was a habit that started once I started reading the posts, because the early posts are there's some funky business in the first part of those, and that's why I was very skeptical at first.
But real quick, why would Trump put all Catholics on the Supreme Court?
There is speculation about that.
Well, I would hope so.
Isn't that like people in the Supreme Court all not guilty of something? Now, Lynn Wood's going off running his mouth about John Roberts, and Lynn Wood would be sued into infinity.
Yeah, but Gorsuch, Roberts, and
Right.
Barrett or Comey Barrett are all Catholics.
Right.
Now all six conservatives are Catholics.
What I think you've got 80%, 90% of the people that were originally there in the Obama administration and previous administrations back into government. So they're bringing guys from Ruby Ridge.
There's 6 Catholics on the Supreme Court, and they're all conservatives.
I've heard things about Comey's not being, what's her name, the new one?
Amy Barrett Comey Barrett, something like that.
I keep wanting to say Comey, because Jim Comey's on my mind a lot.
Isn't it Comey Barrett or Barrett Comey or Comey Barrett, I think.
Yeah. I think it's
Comey.
Kobe.
Yeah.
She's a fundamentalist. She's a hardcore Catholic. She's the most hardcore Catholic of the group of them.
Is that
She's
the
like
ones that
Vatican
got the hole,
direct.
The sheet. Is that the ones that only make love with the hole in the sheet?
But isn't that like injecting America with isn't that like injecting them with like the conspiracy directly through the Supreme Court?
No, not necessarily. I mean, does Comey, what are her connections? That's what you, okay. See, the Vatican, okay, so you're talking about a network that's going to work through different means. That she might not know who she's working for.
Right.
That's the thing. These guys who do Chinese, we know Joe Biden's working for Chinese. We've seen the documents, right?
Catholics are working for the Vatican. That's how Catholicism works.
But now that,
Catholic, by the way, raised Catholic.
I don't know if there is a good pick for a Supreme Court, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. But that'll be something that'll play
There
itself
wasn't
out.
there
they
there
have all the
wasn't a Methodist,
information, if they have all the information, they already know.
right?
Nothing that's ever put online or in a phone conversation goes away.
Right.
All stored in Utah.
Dude, I don't know. That's
So-
spooky to me. If I believed that the Vatican was in
if I could do
control of
Pfizer
stuff, I would
on
not
this-
want 6 Catholics on the Supreme
Yeah.
Court. That would freak me out.
To be honest, never even thought about it.
That's freaky.
But then
So
the
Trump,
Vatican is like a whole nother monkey, dude. The Vatican runs the monarchy.
Trump put 3 young Catholics on the Supreme Court.
Sure.
Ugh.
Again, I don't know. If you've got a Vatican connection, go there. I'm an evidence-based guy. If I don't see the evidence-based,
I would love that.
it wouldn't make any. It wouldn't make any sense if there was no evidence. If it's true, there'll be evidence somewhere. It'll put up. You can't hide it forever.
I'm just swimming in the ideas and the conspiracies. I think it's fun to just swim in it, and to me that is interesting. I'd never really considered that. All of the conservatives are Catholics.
Okay.
Man. Ugh.
I don't think it's a Trump thing.
What's that?
It wouldn't be. I don't know if it's a Trump thing. I wouldn't go necessarily say it's because that's what he wants.
Right.
I can't swear to that because it's like, okay, so who was put in a position because they need to be where they need to be?
I'm interested in seeing
Who
what.
might have. I know Mueller isn't now. I know Rod Rosen's not now. I
Right.
didn't know that I looked back. I thought that was reversed because I knew that they were making. That's the thing about the Q postings. A lot of the early Q stuff was based on Pizzagate. So the whole idea that there's a spying operation going around and how they go around spying,
Right.
that's the real thing. The dissemination of how that story got through the media, how the media pushed the narrative.
And what was it called?
John McCain to BuzzFeed. So then you start checking BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is suspect. Steele dossier came from that, which came from Steele, who was financed by the Clinton Foundation.
Right.
So there's a paper trail to that.
Right.
There's a definite paper trail to it. So, but a lot of that stuff was laid out in the Q postings that came out, and a lot of that stuff just now is becoming apparent to people, like the media is admitting.
So you don't think? I mean, I'm just wondering, haven't they always done that, where they've used any means to dig up dirt on their opponents?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I don't think Trump's any different than that. I mean, I think the whole, Trump, they dug up all the WikiLeaks stuff, and when I read it, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really see any like real smoking guns there. I didn't make the connection from the WikiLeaks to the Clintons are running this huge pedophile ring. I couldn't go.
No. You can't. You pick your connections up. You start looking at all the information. The information eventually will lead you to where you got to be. But it's like if you're just looking to say WikiLeaks is going to tell you everything, it's not. WikiLeaks was a puzzle piece. WikiLeaks told me who I couldn't trust. Do you trust Julian Assange? Was that a plant? Well, this was an email in Hillary Clinton's server, and it was blockchain, 100%. That's a lot. So for me, I had a foundation where I was working from. Saying later on the pedophilia stuff, that's not something I started out saying right away, but there is a human trafficking element to this that runs through the whole thing. See, and that's the other thing too. When people start talking about it in terms of pedophilia, they're talking about it in terms of smearing it with the Pizzagate thing, which is a totally different monkey, because now it's like, okay, if you are trafficking in people, that's human trafficking. If they're children, it's pedophilia with human trafficking.
Right.
But it's still human trafficking. And that's the problem that doesn't get followed up on.
Okay.
Because now the situation is, okay, what happened to all these kids who are getting undocumented at the border? And they don't need the ID for the people picking those kids up. That's what's happening right now.
Right.
Right. And hey, no problem under Joe Biden. Are you kidding me? What would happen to say everything that happens with Joe Biden? Say, what would the reaction be if it was Trump?
Dude.
And you find your answer. It's totally backsliding, dude.
And you're right. And you're right.
Joe Biden's ice cream. Joe Biden's ice cream. What's his favorite flavor? Does everybody know now?
I don't know.
What's he going to do about Israel and Gaza? What's going on over there? I mean, How do
Right.
you have the AP? Oh, did you guys hear that? The AP building. Okay, so Al Jazeera and AP and Reuters all had offices in the Hamas building in Gaza Strip that got nuked, that got taken down. It was taken out, and they were given warning from Israel got a hold of Washington to tell them, hey
So
man,
you don't
we got
think-
sources there. They're launching from that building.
Yeah.
So you don't think it was more about squashing the ability to follow up news?
AP, Reuters, Al Jazeera, Hamas, same building. That's
Right.
who they're paying the rent to.
Well,
They're renting from a terrorist organization.
huh.
Sorry, you lose. But that's the media. That's what the media does. The media
Right.
needs a fight. The question that never was answered to me properly for that whole extent was who started this?
Right.
It comes back to Biden let Iran have money back. Money went back to buying missiles. And they were catching, I got a couple articles of them catching stuff coming around the Gulf in boats where they're loading them up with military gear.
Mm-hmm.
So they're buying rockets to start a fight. So Gaza stuff happened because Joe Biden gave money back. Because what happened to those peace talks? You know, that was peace for a minute.
So wait,
What happened?
so the Gaza stuff happened because of Iran?
Well, that's where Gaza's getting the money. That's where the whole Soleimani thing comes
Oh,
back.
but they were always
When
getting
you
the
got-
money from Iran anyway. They don't need any weird stuff. Everybody knows that they're feeding money into that. That's
You know we're buying oil from Iran.
who, the U.S.?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we are. Surprise.
I'm
We
buying
gotta worry
oil
about their
from
economy,
the
man.
gas station.
We gotta buy their economy, man. We gotta worry about, it's an upside down
Where's
world, dude.
where's the proof on that? Proof, or I don't believe. I'm gonna call
got
Gerry
it.
Gobel on you. I'm gonna Gobel you. I'm Gobling
Just
you
check it
right
out.
now, Jerry.
Just look it up.
Hang on. I'm looking it up right now. I'm gonna look it up
I
through
don't know about
Google.
you guys. I get my oil from Speedway gas station. I don't know where it comes
They
from.
have my Pepsi. I gotta go. They didn't have their fountain. I'd never go. But
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I can't type.
I think I had 3 32-ounce
are you
Diet
literally fact checking?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a banner at the bottom of my screen. Some of this repairs might come to price crazier. Oh, this is Jerry.
Oh.
We'll blame it on cannabis, man. Blame it. If I can link it with jazz, we'll be able to put everything back to where it started in 1920.
So Jerry, let me run a joke by you real quick. Since I have to give you credit where credit is due, you've helped me flesh out jokes before.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so they say that great art is often born out of tragedy. Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the Black Plague. Van Gogh created some great works during manic episodes. During the quarantine of 2020, we were blessed with wet ass pussy. And I wrote a joke about taking acid and fingering.
And it
my
was a
cock.
lie. It was a lie.
There you go.
We were told it was, but it was not.
All right.
Jerry, are you ready? Do you want to still do 5 in the fist?
Okay.
Are you down to do? Are you down to do 5-minute open mic?
The can of butter will flip around again, and I'll be good to go.
Oh, dude, I'm just starting up right now.
Freshen up here with my my peach and green.
What are you drinking there?
Fresh essence of peach
Yum.
Ooh. Okay.
from.
All right. So here we are, the wonderful 5 in the fist set with Gerry Gobel. Jerry, if you're ready, buddy, I'm going to drop you in right now.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
so I spent my pandemic. I got a job working at parts place. I pull parts
okay.
because I can't pass a drug test. So
Okay.
basically, this is why I will always be a bottom feeder, folks. As long as you got to pass a P test, you may as well get used to fast food. And if you can't handle the food anymore, you better find a job pulling parts. So I'm pulling the parts at this place called Green Sales. And there's a place there called Walt Sweeney Ford.
Right.
And I wasn't really, I mean, I'm taking espressos in the morning, and I'm always usually a little baked, so I slur a little bit, and so I kept saying Walt Sweeney, and I was like, hey man, I gotta go pull Walt Sweeney. I pulled Walt Sweeney 3 times. It's not even lunch yet. And then the guy's in the office, and he didn't really think that was very cool. But you know, you do what you do when you're poor. It beats working. I used to work in some like fast food. I did Arby's. I was a French fry chef. I had the whole basket thing down, man. I could flip a basket quicker than anybody. No grease mess or nothing. I could. And the problem was I had quit the job because it was just too greasy, and it was getting into my bloodstream. Because every time I go to the bathroom, all you can see were rainbows, and it's like, and I was attracting leprechauns, which was unfortunate. And I was just, you know,
fucking stupid.
This is really that. I'm like, I just want to pee, man. I just want to pee. I'm sorry. I have a grease condition. Leave me alone. Don't know where your pot of gold is, mister. So, and it's not usually a conversation you want to have in a bathroom with another man, even though he's 2.5, 3 feet tall, which probably makes it worse in most situations, I guess. But, you know, I did like working the drive-through. I was good at the drive-through because of the microphone time. I would get like 5 or 6 bits in with every order. You know, you just kind of be pulling around, and I'd be like, "That'll be $3.57, sir. By the way, did you know Prince and Dustin Hoffman made a movie? Yes, it's called Purple Rain Man. Thank you, pull around." And I was good. I do my Worf voice on occasion to scare the kids that were fucking around, and he just go, "May I help you?" And they're like, "Cool."
Worf.
But I hated the hecklers in the car seats, and they get mad at you if you mess with their hat tools, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't hold it hostage for a laugh. I've run that done 5 or 6 shifts, you know. And I also learned there that you can, if you fill out customer comment cards for yourself, you'll get promoted in no time. You just cut corners and get right to the point. And you can't be, you know, you got to be cool on how you do things, moderation and all compliments, you know, because you go way out the line, dude. And I was like, about the 3rd or 4th one, I really wanted to be head French fry chef, I'll tell you. And because we got the first curly.
Right.
And yeah, got the rest of the joke. I just started thinking about again.
Started thinking about the fries.
Back in the day and age when gluten wouldn't kill you, you just put ketchup on it.
Hell yeah.
What happened to that fighting spirit? Damn, I'm gonna eat my way out of these carbs. Now you're like, oh my god, this carb is a carb in it. And it's like, just I'm drinking peach essence, man.
Yeah, you're the one drinking peach essence.
My peach essence. I like my fruit compressed and punished. I shouted them that while we were pressing it out. Sounded like an evening of John Podestas.
Jerry?
Right. That's
5 minutes, buddy.
I'm going to lose a Target endorsement for sure for that.
Oh, no. If you have another one, go ahead and throw it out. I ain't trying to cut you off.
Well,
I'll give you 10 minutes if you're ready to roll.
Drop the bomb. So are you saying quit?
If you got one more, throw it out there.
I was having a flashback. I thought maybe I was talking to my dad again through the technology. I was like, he's going to know. And you didn't know that. It looks even more heartwarming in the shadow when I put my head over the side of the camera. Like, it's all moon-faced Jerry, and I'm talking about his dad. So there we go. I'm like, hey, everybody. Remember my dad?
That's fine.
Back when I was liberal, I said he was a horrible person our entire lives. And then he died, and now there's just me realizing I put my head up my butt. Now I got a little arch. I'm a part of the work. Pull up the wall for me.
Walt Sweeney.
Oh, Walt Sweeney.
Good old
And
Walt Sweeney.
That's how you wrap up a show.
Walt Sweeney Collision Repair.
That is how you wrap up a show.
That's right.
Dude, before
we need 3 times.
before we let you go,
Okay.
everybody that comes on the show gets the floor. You get to say what you want. This is your time. If you want to, it's at the end of the show, so nobody's ever going to see it. If you got something to say, go ahead and let her rip, and we'll see where it lands.
I hope that Star Wars dumpster fire that is Kathleen Kennedy quits soon or is fired, and go back to a more wholesome time where Jon Favreau saves the world. And comic books suck now. They're being beaten by anime. And why is that? It's because this is Generation Suck. You guys can't even make a decent comic book without putting your damn genitals all over it. It's your own fucking fault.
Everybody, that is Gerry Gobel. And everyone, well,
we lost all of our endorsements.
If anybody hears that, then see, that's the only way you get a controversy, so you know. Now there'll be an outbreak. You guys will be canceled, but you'll know at least they heard that.
guys, that's the show. I'm Jake. That's Terry. This is Gerry Gobel, the incomparable. Thanks for coming out, dude, and playing with us.
Thanks, Jerry.
I guess.
Credits are rolling. You can hang around if you want, Jerry. We're gonna sit around and chill for a few.
Are we gonna? How does this work? I'm usually bad at exits.
No, don't worry about it. Just sit here and hang out with
the
us.
lights off. I just been waiting for you to flip the switch and be like,
The credits are rolling right now. We'll just let them play out, and then we'll turn this thing off, and we can keep talking. What'd you think?
that was great. I've been staring at my little hypnotizing head here on the side. I'm just like,
It is hypnotized. I'm hypnotized.
meme worthy.
Right?
And it's,
How
it's
you
so
doing?
dark. It's so dark behind you that it's just like a floating head.
Yeah, it's like you're green screened out.
Like Pee Wee Herman. What
I'm a
was
deep
the,
fake.
You're exactly
the-
like Pee Wee Herman.
No, not Pee Wee, but Phil Hartman's character. Or no, not Phil Hartman. What was the little floating genie on Pee Wee?
Zombie.
Yeah, Johnny.
Zombie.
Mecca lecca hi, mecca honey ho.
I am the news from the past. Ooh. Last year's news is this year's news, bitches. That was deep.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Seriously, go look at my post, dude.